How's it guys, this is Dayvy FPL and welcome back to the Fantasy Premier League video here on my channel. Now in this video we're going to be talking about the Game Week 17 team selection as well as take a look at how the squad got on in Game Week 16. Now Game Week 16 was a very weird game week, probably the weirdest game week that I've ever had in my FPL career. So if you did manage to get through it, congratulations. I think that's quite a miraculous achievement there and one that you'll always remember for as long as you play FPL. But in this video we're going to be talking about how we did in Game Week 16, then looking at the transfers that take us into that finalized Game Week 17 lineup, where we'll also be talking about who's going to be captaining the squad. We're also going to be talking about the fixture postponements, as I think it's quite a big talking point. So we'll be giving you guys an update on the fixtures and what we currently know going into that blank Game Week 18 and that double Game Week 19. So that's something you're interested in. Sit back, relax, and let's get straight into it. So the Game Week 16 review, we managed to get 60 points. Obviously, we did use our wild card. I still don't really know if it was an advantage to use the wild card or not. I actually didn't work out what my team before this would have worked out for, because that's usually what you should do, is you should take the squad before the wild card and take the squad after the wild card and see if there actually was an improvement. Off the bat, I think there was an improvement because I did bring in players like Dallas and Fabianski who managed to return, but 60 points was above the average, so we did have a nice little green arrow of about 300k places, which puts us just below that 800k mark. So yes, finally we are in the top 1 million, but the one thing that I was also happy about is that we ended 2020 with a green arrow. So as I said, that's something that I am happy with, and hopefully, because we've been trotting along quite nicely, a consecutive amount of green arrows from now till about after that double game week, we can carry on and capitalize on this whole chip strategy that we do have, and that'll take us up the ranks even more. So going through the lineup, we start off with Fabianski. Now Fabianski is a big talking point because if you remember in the deadline stream, I was kind of pondering whether to go for Fabianski or go for Nick Pope. So Burnley managed to keep a clean sheet as well. Unfortunately, we didn't get it with Charlie Taylor, but because Fabianski managed to get a clean sheet against Southampton, I know we did own Adams, so maybe we would have preferred a goal from him, but because Fabianski got a clean sheet that kind of equaled Nick Pope's clean sheet, I'm happy that I went for Fabianski in the end because I don't have to use a free transfer going to double Game Week 19 for those lovely West Ham fixtures. Also nice to see that West Ham managed to keep a clean sheet because recently they haven't been keeping many clean sheets, and Southampton have been performing quite well from an attacking point of view, so that was quite a surprising result. Going on to the rest of the defense, we've already spoken about Charlie Taylor. Unfortunately, he went off with a hamstring injury about 8 minutes into that Burnley fixture. Really disappointed with that. Obviously, I do wish him the best and hopefully he recovers quite quickly, but because it was basically a guaranteed clean sheet for Burnley, Sheffield United have been arguably, if not definitely, the worst team in the Premier League, especially from an attacking point of view. So to have a Burnley defender go off so early and then they also keep the clean sheet was just kind of a nail in the coffin, but I'm really going to take it on the chin because unfortunately this wasn't a predictable event and we kind of have to just take it with us in our stride. The next player is going to be Justin. So Justin was also a disappointment because go and watch the Crystal Palace goal. I honestly don't know how Wilfried Zaha managed to score that. An impossible angle. Schmeichel just doesn't go on his near post and Wilfried Zaha manages to just squeak it in. It was Justin's fault as well because that was the man he was obviously covering on that right hand side, but that was kind of the only big chance that Crystal Palace had. So to lose that clean sheet because of that mistake was quite annoying, and therefore Justin only managed to get 2 points. We'll go on to Walker Peters, who came off for obviously that postponement of the Spurs fixture. So Walker Peters and Souček were the players that came on. So that was 8 points off the bench, which was always going to be welcomed. Was a little bit annoyed that I didn't start Walker Peters and a little bit unfortunate that he managed to pick up the yellow card there because I think he could have been on for some bonus points as well. Then the final play in the defense that we'll be talking about is the hero of the game week. It's going to be Dallas from Leeds. So the clean sheet was a little bit of a surprise there. I'm not going to say that I was expecting a clean sheet from Leeds, but considering how bad their defensive stats are, I was really happy that he managed to keep the clean sheet. And then not only did he get the clean sheet, but he assisted Rafinha's goal. So not much of an assist there. It was kind of one of those assists where they just pass it, the player goes and runs through the entire defense and slots it in, but I'm still going to take the assist because he was in my squad. And then he also got some bonus points. I think it was 3 bonus points as well there, so I was really happy that I brought in Dallas. I know there was a little bit of a worry about the yellow card, but we're just going to have to monitor that situation as well, because if he does pick up another one or another 2, I think he gets a suspension for 1 game. Then going into the midfield was a little bit of an exciting midfield here, especially with Rafinha, who scored a lovely curled effort. I was really happy when that goal went in, as basically every other Leeds attacker had scored before that, and Rafinha was the only one that hadn't returned. So happy that I went for Rafinha. You could have also gone for Harrison, who looks quite good. I think he also put in a good performance there against West Brom. Fernandes with 6 points, picking up a late assist. A lovely ball over over the top, perfectly weighted, and then Rashford obviously got that deflected shot. But I'm always going to take an assist from one of my star players because of how low scoring this game week was. Then we go on to Mo Salah, who got 3 points. Now Mo Salah missed basically 2 big chances. I think his XG would have been about 1.8 because they were really good chances. The one-on-one, I will give a little bit of credit to Darlow for a great save. The thing about the one-on-one is that he did give the keeper kind of chance to save it, didn't really bury it in one of the corners, so it ended up being a good save for the one-on-one. And then he also missed another curled effort on his left foot, so no excuses there for him, but unfortunately Mo Salah ended with just the clean sheet point in that 0-0 draw. Then final player Souček, not really much to talk about there, just the clean sheet point as well. And going on to the forward line, we have Bamford, who got 2 assists, which are always going to be welcome, but in a 5-0 win, I was expecting him to do a little bit better, but I'm always going to take an 8-pointer. And then finally, Che Adams with just 1 point, came off, I think about the 58th or 59th minute, had the potential to actually be injured after being kicked in the head, but luckily he seems like he's going to be fit for the next game against Liverpool, and considering he came off at the 60-minute mark, did get a little bit of a rest. Then finally, the postponed fixture for Son and Kane. Was a little bit disappointed after seeing the initial fixtures, the Chelsea assets not doing that well, and the Man City assets also getting their game postponed. I thought that Son and Kane could have had a really good game week, but because I got 8 points off the bench, maybe Son and Kane would have only got 2 points each or something like that. So I've got to take the points that were kind of guaranteed, and hopefully with this rest, game week 17 is going to be quite a good game week for my Spurs assets. Then finally, Soufal on the bench there. A little bit surprising that he was benched, a little bit ironic that he wasn't benched for the weekend that his wife gave birth, but he was benched for this one. Doesn't really make much sense to me, but I am a little bit worried, as I spoke about in the game week 17 preview, about the fact that it doesn't seem like West Ham are scared to rotate, and in a double game week, that's not really going to be favored, especially with my bench boost. But this is going to wrap the game week 16 preview. Relatively happy with that green arrow. Was actually quite a good wild card in my opinion. So going on to the transfers that we are looking at, if you did watch my game week 16 team selection and my previews and everything like that, I spoke about the Harry Kane to Jamie Vardy transfer. Now this transfer could have gone through maybe if last night Spurs did play, and they really look quite lackluster again. Unfortunately, we don't have the luxury of having that game in game week 16, so I can't really see how Spurs are playing, and I'm kind of just going to have to take a punt on whether I keep Kane or whether I think he's going to perform well against Leeds. So right now, I don't think I'm going to be making this transfer. I know that Jamie Vardy has been rested. He was rested in that Crystal Palace game, so he should be fine for the Newcastle game, but I just can't see myself taking out Harry Kane with the whole unpredictability that's happening yet. The one thing I will tell you guys is please use your transfers as late as possible, because I think there might be some fixture news coming up that we might not know right now. So keep those free transfers for as long as possible, and if we do a deadline with Davy's stream, that's probably where I'm going to be making my move. The more certain move that I probably will be doing is taking out Charlie Taylor. Now it looks like he's going to be out for about 2 to 3 weeks, so I want to take him out, especially if I am going to be bench boosting in game week 19, as he's just going to be keeping up a space on my bench, and I basically just have the hope that he recovers from his hamstring injury quite quickly. So he looks like he's going to be taking a straight swap to Lowton. I could also go for Peters. He's also a good shout. Both of them come in at 4.4 and 4.3. So I'm going to be able to save a little bit of budget there. But if you remember, I have 0.0 in the bank, so I kind of had to get a straight swap or a downgrade. So that's exactly what Lowton allows. And the thing is, Burnley still have the double game week. I can simply bench him for next game week if I don't like their fixture. The one thing I will take note of though is that they do face Fulham. And Fulham, if you recall, were the reason why the Spurs game was postponed. So it's going to be quite interesting to see if they actually have a game week 17 fixture, and if they don't, I might have to look at another alternative, or I might just do the Lowton transfer and just hope that that game week 19 fixture is going to be perfect for the double game week. So the fixture postponements have happened. If you do recall, the Spurs game was postponed versus Fulham, and then the Man City game versus Everton was also postponed. Now it was Man City and Fulham that caused those postponements, so Everton and Spurs should be fine for the weekend, but just keep your eyes out on the news because it seems like these teams are coming out of the blue with a massive amount of positive tests that we didn't even know about. So Man City and Fulham are going to be the ones that you have to monitor. Right now I think that Man City yesterday trained, so their game week 17 fixture should go ahead, but with the other fixtures there are still that Burnley versus Manchester United game that still has to be postponed till about game week 18 or 19. That was the game week 1 fixture that was postponed, if I do recall. So there's a potential announcement that could be coming up on Friday, whether that Manchester United or the Man City game could be postponed, whether the Spurs game could be moved to game week 19 and all that jazz. So right now we don't really have anything to announce. Unfortunately, I'm kind of in the dark as much as you guys are. We haven't had no news of potential moves for this postponed fixtures. So we basically just have to wait and see, and that's why I told you guys to use your free transfer as late as possible, because then at least we have the most news available. So going on to the Game Week 17 team selection. So right now this is the team with no transfers made. Not much to talk about in the rotation, but the one thing I will say is that if I do bring in Luton and their fixture against Fulham does go ahead, I would be quite tempted to play him because I think it's a great fixture for Burnley, and defensively they've been quite strong recently. So he could come in for Sufal or Dallas. I think right now I'm leaning a little bit more towards taking Dallas out because I own Son and Kane, and I am going to be captaining Son. So Son and Kane are going to be my captain this week. The one thing I also wanted to mention is please don't put your vice captain and your captain on one the same team or two the same fixture, because we saw this weekend a lot of people had Son captain or Kane vice captain, and then that fixture gets postponed and you don't have any kind of captaincy points. So what I've done here is I've gone for the vice captain on Bruno Fernandes. I also think that Bruno Fernandes is a good shout for a captaincy option, as he's just been so consistent going forward, and Manchester United are actually looking quite good overall in terms of defense and attacking wise. So I think that Bruno Fernandes should do well in this one, but it is a little bit of a tougher game against Aston Villa. Same to be said with Salah. I'm not really comfortable captaining Salah this week after 2 blanks on the trot, and Southampton have been good defensively and overall as well. The one thing you must note though, and the thing that I didn't cover in the Game Week 17 preview, is you must look at the time between the Game Week 16 and 17 fixtures. With Salah, he played Wednesday night, but then he goes and plays on Monday night, so a lot of days of rest there, whereas Bruno Fernandes doesn't have a lot of rest. The same would have been said for Son and Kane, however that fixture was postponed, so these two have had their rest, and I think it's going to be quite good for that Spurs lineup, as they have looked a little bit tired or a little bit lackluster going forward recently. So hopefully this is the rejuvenation that they needed against a Leeds team that I think will allow them a little bit of space in behind. So that's why I'm going for Son over Kane, because I think Son is going to be the quick out of the two, are going to be led to more space in behind, and you know Spurs love a counter-attack, and I think that Son is going to be the talisman in that. The rest of the lineup kind of picks itself. Unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to start Souček against Everton. I could, but I just don't think it's worth it. Walker-Peters against Liverpool. I know Liverpool haven't been playing that well recently, but I still am not going to play that. The only person that might play is Taylor, if I do take him to Luton or Peters. I don't really know who to bring him on for. I could go for Sufal or Dallas, but I think, as I said, I'm leaning a little bit more towards Dallas because I have kind of stacked that Spurs attack in this draft. The rest of the team has a little bit of hit or miss fixtures. I think it's going to depend on how high scoring that Spurs Leeds game is, because I own a lot of players in that fixture, and then Justin hoping that he can get a clean sheet against Newcastle after that mistake against Crystal Palace. So this is basically a wrap of the video, guys. Hopefully you do enjoy it. Please don't forget to like it if you did, and subscribe if you're new or have not subscribed yet. I'll be checking you guys on my Twitter, and potentially in a Deadline with Dayvy live stream coming up 30 minutes before the deadline usually. I'm going to be signing off. This has been Dayvy FPL, and I'm out. Cheers, bye.